Liz, what is going on? What is going on? Because
that's really
Todd
that just kind of sums it up
y'all, Todd Blanche has regularly, at every turn he has been offered to say, I will kill the slush fund, to write it down, to whether it's a federal judge or the United States senators that are going to confirm him. He has declined to do it. At this point, what more do they need to know? He's not going to commit to killing the slush fund because he don't want to commit to killing the slush fund because the president wants the slush fund alive. So if the slush fund is a red line for the senators, isn't it time to put up or shut up? Like, what else do we need to know?
Yeah, there's no reason at this point for him not to put it in writing. No legitimate reason. He doesn't want to put it in writing because that could potentially be used against him in the future. So he is stringing it along and he's saying, take my word for it. We are well past the point of take my word for it. I mean, Todd Blanche has been disingenuous about so many different things throughout his tenure, including his ability to be independent from Donald Trump. So we cannot take his word for it. Legally, the slush fund is still enforceable because there is a written contract. The contract says that it can only be modified by a written agreement between the parties, which means not only does Todd Blanche need to put it in writing, but Donald Trump needs to put it in writing that he agrees to withdraw the slush fund. He's never going to do that. So there's really no point in Blanche writing it because he's not going to get the counterparty signature from Donald Trump saying it's dead, and it's not dead.
The slush fund is so important to talk about because, to me, it's the single worst thing the Trump administration's ever done aside from causing suffering to people. And why is that? It eliminates judicial review. It takes the power of the purse away from the legislative branch. It gives an insane carve-out to his family that they can't be prosecuted or looked after by the IRS for tax fraud. Then it pays insurrectionists, treasonous insurrectionists in theory. So it's just one of the worst things we've ever seen. But I want to talk to you about something else, because I think a lot of times people watch political programs and they get lost in the minutia. But sometimes there's very clear lines about what's right and wrong. You worked for Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche asked you to do something. I want to play what he asked you to do and your response to it. Can we play that tape, please?
Look, this is bad policy.
Office had asked me to recommend restoring the gun ownership rights of a convicted domestic abuser. I raised concerns about public safety, but Mr. Blanche's staff pressured me to go along anyway. I did not. But because this particular domestic abuser had a personal relationship with the president, Mr. Blanche's staff asked me to set aside my concerns. When I wouldn't, Mr. Blanche fired me within hours.
And that abuser, of course, domestic abuser, was Mel Gibson, the actor. Yeah. So you were essentially asked by Todd Blanche to give Mel Gibson a pass, give him back his gun rights, even though he's a domestic abuser. You said no and you got fired. Tell us about Todd Blanche, the person, because I think that's a wonderful anecdote about how he operates.
You know what's really stunning is I never actually met Todd Blanche in person. I dealt with his staff. They were very insistent about this particular request. They tried to bully me into going along with it. And when I declined, Todd Blanche sent me a memo firing me, a 3-sentence memo that he had delivered to me by Department of Justice security guards. He then had armed U.S. Marshals come to my home to try to prevent me from speaking to Congress about the firing. All of my dealings with Mr. Blanche have been in writing. He testified in his congressional hearing about my firing, and he provided false testimony. I mean, he literally sat up there and just casually lied about the reasons for the firing. So from what I know of him, he is not a trustworthy person. He is not a person who respects the institution of the Department of Justice or the role that career lawyers play there. He is totally beholden to Donald Trump, and he is totally unfit to be the Attorney General.
Blanche sent marshals to your home?
He did, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, yeah, I think that's something a lot of Americans probably should get used to in the next coming months in the last 2 years of this administration, because that's how they use the Justice Department. I mean, we've already seen the frivolous prosecutions, the going after people, tying them up in court. And it really does say a lot that you had to go through that in the role that you played because they wanted something particular done. Mm-hmm. And that's the MO. It's always something particular with Trump, and in the fact that he wants you to take care of a buddy who just wrote a check. He wants you to take care of a friend who just, gave him something, maybe a trophy or something. So what do we do here? with all of this, because I think the frustration that a lot of Americans have when they hear stories like yours is that if the good guys are getting run out like this, the folks who are kind of there to hold those guardrails in place, what does it say for the rest of us in the system as a whole? And I think that's sort of an underlying concern going into elections, for example, and going into what may happen on the other side of elections. How do you see all of this playing out when you know someone like Blanche is going to have the power? Because Blanche, this is my supposition, Blanche is doing what Blanche is doing. He's not answering the questions. He's playing the, oh, I can't because I can't divulge with the president conversations. It's because he already knows he has the votes. He already knows he has the votes. He's not worried about that, because if the White House was worried about it, their whole tactic would be very different right now. We've seen this before when there was a problem with securing the votes.
You don't think they're a little worried?
No, I don't think they're a little bit worried, because if one senator falls, they got two. They're not worried. The question is, which one is going to be able to go out there and play the bad guy and say, no, you can't have the position. The other two will give it to them.
That's crazy.
Well, look, things are really bad right now at the Justice Department. They've lost over a quarter of their attorneys. They are not even able to replace them. They've dropped the hiring standards. They're offering signing bonuses. They cannot get people to work there. But things are only going to get worse if Todd Blanche is confirmed as Attorney General. He is going to be unleashed. The last guardrails on him right now are the need to keep those Republican senators on board to vote for his confirmation. Once they vote for him, if they vote for him, he is going to be totally unleashed. There is going to be nothing keeping him in check anymore, and we are going to see the current corruption double, quadruple. It's going to be really bad.